Good morning. We are here to address today's guilty plea by Elsa Segura in her role in Monique Baugh's murder. I want to acknowledge how difficult having this case reopened by the Minnesota Supreme Court has been for the Baugh family. And I want to express my deepest condolences to all of you in the back there. Part of our team's reasoning for settling this case without trial is to prevent that from happening again, while obtaining a sentence that reflects Ms. Segura's role in this absolutely horrific crime. On New Year's Eve 2019, Minneapolis realtor Monique Baugh had what she thought was a routine home showing for a property in Maple Grove. Elsa Segura had been calling and texting her using a different name, expressing interest in viewing a home for sale. But Elsa Segura wasn't interested in buying the house. What was supposed to be a quick showing before ringing in the new year quickly took a turn for the worst. Segura was one of 5 people involved in a larger plan to kidnap Miss Baugh. They abducted her and confined her in the cargo hold of a moving truck. They drove Miss Baugh to her home and used her house key to enter and shoot her boyfriend multiple times in the presence of their 2 little girls. Ms. Baugh's boyfriend was seriously injured but survived and managed to call for help. About an hour later, Monique Baugh was found with 3 gunshot wounds in an alley near her home. 5 people were charged in connection with her murder. In 2021, a jury convicted Ms. Segura on various aiding and abetting theories, and the judge sentenced her to life without the possibility of parole. On January 31st, 2024, the Minnesota Supreme Court remanded, or essentially returned, her case to Hennepin County because they said there was insufficient evidence to support the aiding and abetting premeditated murder convictions. Her other convictions, kidnapping and felony murder, were returned to Hennepin County because of erroneous jury instructions. Today, Ms. Segura pled guilty to kidnapping, and the judge sentenced her to 240 months in prison. The presumptive guideline sentence for kidnapping is actually 86 months. The plea agreement called for an upward departure from state sentencing guidelines based upon the particular cruelty of the crime and the involvement of 3 or more perpetrators. Of the other co-defendants involved in Ms. Baugh's murder, 2 are in prison serving life sentences without hope of parole. 1 served probation, and the 5th person is awaiting a retrial. He has an appearance later this week. Ms. Baugh was a mother of 2 girls, ages 1 and 3 at the time. She loved to read stories to her children, and she had a special purple pillow she would lie on to read to them. Co-workers described Ms. Baugh as compassionate, driven, and someone who would do anything to protect and provide for her children. Monique Baugh had a bright future ahead of her. Now her loved ones will never get to experience Ms. Baugh's wonderful sense of humor again. Ms. Baugh's children, who lost their mother so young, will grow up without memories of their mother that they can call their own. This is an incredibly sad tragedy that absolutely did not have to happen, and my heart is with Ms. Baugh's family and loved ones. I do want to thank our trial team who have handled this case, Paige Starkey and Chris Filipski behind me. Paige was tried the original case, and I know has worked incredibly hard on this to make sure that justice is done. Questions?
Regarding the aiding and abetting premeditated murder ruling, can you explain what exactly that means that the Supreme Court says and how that affected this case and potentially other cases?
So generally, aiding and abetting requires that someone knows that the crime is going to be committed or should have known. So in other words, you know that there's going to be a murder or you should have known. And the Supreme Court felt that we had not presented enough evidence to convince them that there were no other alternative theories. In other words, could she have thought something else was going on here? And in fact, I think they specifically said it could have been some less serious crime. She, I think, claimed that she thought it was about drugs. So essentially what the Supreme Court was saying is that there was not enough evidence to convince them that she knew her participation was going to lead to a murder or would aid and abet a murder.
So then for the Wiggins case, even though they made the same kind of ruling, the facts of what's going on in his mind might be different than what were going on in her mind, is that?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So.
Yes.
So
It's very
what's gonna happen with this? Yeah, explain that, then what's gonna happen with this?
It's very fact specific. In fact, we believe that Wiggins was the mastermind here, and we will proceed to trial if we need to on that case, because we believe that he masterminded this entire thing, even though he did not fire the shots that killed Ms. Ball.
How about Barry and Davis? Will that affect their cases at all?
They are both, Paige, I'm gonna have Paige Starkey answer that. They're both.
Both Barry and Davis have appealed. Their convictions have been upheld by the Minnesota Supreme Court.
I should also say, I said at the beginning that it was very difficult, I know, for the family to have this reopened. Anytime there's a trial, there's probably going to be an appeal. But when someone pleads guilty, there can be an appeal, but people are very unlikely to prevail. So we would consider this the end of Ms. Segura's case.
One more big picture
Yep.
question. So moving forward with future cases where there ends up being a murder, will this ruling potentially prevent you from charging based on the ultimate results?
We always look at each case individually, and in each case, there are different facts that may or may not support an aiding and abetting theory. I don't think it'll change our approach other than to analyze the individual facts to see if we think that fits what the Supreme Court is looking for. But we will always look at each individual case because each case is unique and it has its own facts. Thank you.
I just have one last question. I thought that there were 4 people involved here. Who's the 5th?
So there was a woman, do you want to go?
So the fifth person whose sentence ultimately was probation was Shante Barry, Cedric Barry's wife, and Barry Davis's sister. And so she was convicted of aiding an offender for her role in assisting with parts of kind of the cover-up and lying to investigators.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.